Now I was taking you through the dietary law of Moses. He's trying to communicate spiritual realities, but he's using food. He's talking about food. He's telling them, do not do this. Remember, in the book of Deuteronomy, it is now the law being reintroduced again. Because when we were in Exodus, by the time we came to Deuteronomy, another generation has been born. So the law needs to be repeated in their ears for them to do what? To hear again and to know, to understand kuna kaango aje. Unaona? They need to be discipled again. It is like Moses is doing a discipleship class all over again. He's trying to disciple them afresh, kwa sababu the nature of humankind ni kusahau, na lazima wangesahau kwa sababu they were still in the flesh. Their spirit is not alive to the things of God. Now, because the spirit man does not live by sight, he lives by faith. But the fleshly man, or the carnal man, the flesh man, lives by sight. You should get that. That is why in the Old Testament, God is very loud, very visible, very boo 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 boo, nini, all that, and a lot of noise. Because the physical man lives by sight, but the spiritual man walks by faith, not by sight. That is the two different things between a man before receiving the life of Jesus and a man after receiving the life of Jesus. So, I was reading about how Moses is talking about do not eat this animal. There were things I was seeing, like animal that parted the hoof, animal that cheweth cud, fish without fin and scales, do not eat. And then he's telling them of the unclean birds they should not eat. So to understand what Moses is trying to say here, you should now know he was talking to people that are dead in the spirit. He could only relate with them through what they can relate with. Remember, God uses a language you can easily understand and comprehend. And I told you in a certain live video, I told you that Jesus was an object teacher. He could use, because the essence of him coming was him to be known and to be understood. So he could use such an ordinary pen to be able to be understood. That is why he used parables, things you can see with your eyes and relate. And he has said in his word, let us use the physical things, the earthly things, to teach us of the spiritual things. Yani kile ambacho anatumia, he could use such a pen to communicate a spiritual reality. But because umekwama tu kwa physical, you don't have the capacity to withhold what he wants to say. You will still be stuck in what Moses talked about in the dietary law 4,000 years ago. You will not come into the light of what Christ did on the cross at Calvary. Okay? Now, to understand these dietary laws, you need to know an animal that parted the hoof. What is the character of this animal that parted the hoof? Because Moses is trying to teach them grace. He's trying to teach them, do not live like this. Do not have such kind of a character. Do not have such kind of a character. But he could only use meat to communicate what he wanted to say. So today we are not going to do such a long one. We shall continue tomorrow about the teachings of Moses. Let us just lay a foundation today. But we should know that the whole of the Bible, it is Jesus trying to come to the level of humankind so that we can be able to know him and we can be able to comprehend him. Anything you read, you should come into the light, because he has now revealed himself fully. He's no longer doing it in bits or in nuggets. He has come fully as a person. We have the person of Jesus with us today. So we should now leave our ego aside, because the greatest weakness of humankind, of man, is refusing and rejecting that a supreme being can lower himself to the lowest form of existence, which is being a mortal man, to be able to reach a humankind. And I told you that Jesus, when he was on this world, he's God, but he limited himself to space. Remember, he does not have a beginning or an end. He does not die. He's immortal. The fact that he does not have a beginning or an end. But remember, when he wanted to reach a human being, God himself, the God that you search for every day, the God that you are looking for every day, the God that you even worship and maybe you don't know him, when he wanted to reach you in your simplicity form, he became as simple as you. He left his no beginning and his no end, and he entered your time. He was limited by time, just like you. He was limited by age, just like I am. I have the day I was born, and I have the day I will die. Remember, when he was on this earth, he lived a life of 33 and a half years. You see? But that is not his nature. It is only that he was limited by the assignment that he had to carry. Remember, he's immortal. He does not die. He is the creator of death and the owner of death. But on that particular assignment of reaching for this human being, this dead human spirit, he had to come and taste death. He had to make himself the victim of the very death, to be able to reach the human being that was dead in the spirit and to be able to bring him back to life. Now, Jesus is omnipresent, but on that assignment, he limited himself to time and to space. He limited himself into only one geographical location. And that is why it was important, after he has finished the work of the cross, the work of the redemption, that he had to go back to ascend. He had to ascend so that now his spirit can cease to live or to be trapped in one body, the body of Jesus. Now his spirit can be able to live or to tabernacle with every human being. So it means that in the current world population of close to 8 billion people, it means that at this juncture, it is at this position, if all those 8 billion people were born again, it means that the Spirit of the living God could tabernacle with each and every person in the face of the earth. Because, hey, everybody is a candidate of the salvation of Christ. Everybody is a candidate of the mercy of Jesus. Everybody is a candidate of the salvation of Jesus. Never write anybody off. So it means the 8 billion people in the face of the earth, if they were all born again, the Spirit of the Lord could tabernacle with each and every person. Can you imagine the kind of world we'll be having today? Yeah, it will be such an amazing world. But we are here, we live with evil and we live with good. Because why? The seed entered at the beginning. The seed entered at the beginning. And there was a time we talked briefly about these two things, good and evil, how it began in the Garden of Eden. And up to this day, we have to live with this evil. But what does Jesus do? He takes out of evil. He doesn't allow us to. He delivers from what? From evil. It means you cannot pray for evil not to be to be existence into this world. But what Jesus does, what Jesus does, he comes now and delivers us from evil. That is amazing. The work of the cross. And nobody could do such a beautiful work. So let us stop searching for a God that has already come. Tuache kujichokesha. We are getting tired, bure too, and we can never achieve it. We cannot be able to achieve it. Jesus has already availed himself. God has become flesh, And there was another time we did a live and I told you, Christianity is not a religion. Do not take it as a religion. It is the greatest miracle that has ever happened in humankind. Divinity became humanity so that humanity can touch divinity again. What is very hard there to understand? It is only that our ego don't allow ourselves to accept that a God, a supreme God, can live his glory and his majesty and his everything, and to lower himself to a level where a mere mortal like me can be able to know him, to transact with him. Oh, it's an amazing thing that can happen. It is the greatest gift that can ever be given to a human kind. The greatest and the most amazing gift that can ever happen to any human being. But we're still trying to reach him. We're still searching for a God that we have in our hands, a God that is living in me. I'm going to search for him to places that I don't know where, but he's already in me. You know, he has made all the effort to come and find me, but I'm still making the effort to try and reach him. That is the religion. That is what we are preaching today. And that is why you hear people saying that we worship our white Jesus, that Jesus is white. I told you in our live sometimes back, I told you that the essence of Jesus being born was not to take a certain color or to take a certain tribe or a certain nation. The essence was that he needed to reach humankind. And he chose only one nation, the nation of Israel, in his sovereignty and in his wisdom and in his majesty. And he did not need you as a human being to advise him which nation he was going to choose so that he can be able to express his plan for redemption. All the way from Genesis, he's trying to tell his plan for redemption, but he's telling it to people who are dead in the spirit. That is why he's coming physically, kama moto. Elijah anaita moto, you know. But now, right now, the spirit man is alive. Okay? When you need to hear God, he does not come boo 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 boo. It is that still small voice inside you. He's not a that boo 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 God right now. No, 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 no. And the other amazing thing that happened, it is that his seat became a mercy seat. Because before he came, it was a judgment seat. So to those that are saying Kenya is being judged, nini nini, God is judging us, no, 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 no. It is a mercy seat right now. Everybody can access mercy. Everybody can plead for his mercy. Everybody can receive the life of Jesus. Remember the thief on the cross? I have told you about that thief. I have also told you about the Samaritan woman. She was forgiven. And what happened? A prostitute, because she had 5 husbands. If you need to hear about how we talked about the Samaritan woman, you need to go to our YouTube channel and watch that video. She had 5 husbands, but Jesus did not judge her, did not condemn her. Actually, he did not begin preaching and condemning her and bombarding her with all this, umefanya hii, umefanya hii. He created a platform where this woman will realize, I am thirsty and I need water of life. It is Jesus who presented that platform, but he did not judge this woman. It is this woman that began to say, remember tuliona, when you read John chapter 4, utaona ya kwamba when they began, this woman is telling Jesus, Jews don't mix with Samaritans. And she was very right, because that was there even before Jesus was born. It was a rule, it was a custom that Jews do not mix with Samaritans. Ilikuwa ni sheria ilikuweko 1,000 years even before Jesus arrived. So this woman was right in all parameters. He told Jesus, we don't mix with you people. And what this woman saw was only a Jew. That is how most of us see. When we hear about Jesus, we say ni Mungu wa Israeli. That is the only thing we see. Because we are blinded by our traditions. We are blinded by religion, you know. And let me tell you, let me shock you, even the same Jews up today, they still wait for the Messiah. They know that the Messiah has not come. They're still waiting for him. So this woman was also in that parameter. He was telling Jesus, nah, we don't mix with you people. He only saw Jesus as a Jew. Now when they began to communicate, Jesus created a platform where, I have told you that Jesus is an object teacher. And he uses something you can relate with to be able to communicate spiritual realities. On that day, he used a well. He used a well because that is the only thing such a woman could be able to relate to. Because Jesus wanted to communicate about the thirst of the world. Sin brings thirst. He was trying to communicate about how Jesus is the water of life. But he could not come. I'm trying to show you how the gospel of Jesus is very simple, very humble, you know. And being an evangelist is the most amazing thing that can happen to you. Being able to turn the hearts of people into to turn back to Jesus. See how Jesus is evangelizing to this woman. And then he knew another thing I saw. He knew because these disciples of mine, they don't have the capacity to hold what I want to do with this woman. Because when Jesus was looking at this woman, his agenda was only salvation. Because after that, that woman went and the whole of Samaria turned to salvation. Because she went saying, come see a man, come see a man. So what Jesus did, because he wanted to win this woman, he sent his disciples away. Kwa sababu ni watu hawajakomaa kiroho. You see? And this is what we are doing today. Religious people. We are preventing people from knowing Jesus. We are preventing people from coming into the light of Jesus. We are very busy judging them. And we don't know that whatever they are doing, it is a result of the nature of sin in them. So we need to make them come into the light so that this sinful nature can die, so that they can stop bearing fruit after that kind. When you find a person being promiscuous, that is not the first thing to condemn, because promiscuity is a fruit of his sinful nature. And that is what Jesus did. He did not condemn this woman as per the 5 husbands she had. She condemned, or she dealt with the root cause, the thirst, kiu ambayo ilikuwa kwa huyu mwanamke. Now you can see she started referring to Jesus as a Jew. Tukakuja pole pole. That video is on our YouTube channel. And when tuna advance, akaanza kumuita prophet. Anaenda aki-advance. No, akamuita saa. Heshima ikaongeze kwa sababu akasikia Yesu kuna kitu kingine Yesu anaofa. Anaofa kitu kingine ambacho huyu hana, mwanamke hana. Heshima kaongezeka kidogo. Akamuita nani? Akamuita saa. Tukaenda kidogo. Akaanza sasa kumwambia mambo yake. Yesu, wisdom in this our master and our Lord. Yesu aka-create platform. Akamwambia go call your husband. You know, hamwambii, hamtabiri kumwambia roho ananionyesha nijui Bwana ulilala wapi. No, gentleness. That is the work of the Holy Spirit. Alipomwambia go call your husband, the woman ndiye alijisema, I don't have a husband. Na Yesu akamwambia ni ukweli. Hata wenye ulikuwa na watano, uko na watano, na hata mwenye uko na yeye si wako. Now this woman began to refer to Jesus as a prophet. Unaona tunaenda advance. Tulianza pale aliona tu Yesu as a Jew, which most of us, that is all we see. We say Jesus, God of Israel. You know, we say he's a Jew. He was sent to the house of Israel, to the lost house of Israel. We don't know that he chose that nation to be able to express or to explain his plan for redemption. By the way, by the time we are coming to John 4:27, ashamalizana na story ya salvation. By the time you are coming to 32, huyu mwanamke ashaenda Samaria, amehubiri watu 3,000 wameokoka. She's an evangelist. From a promiscuous woman to an evangelist. That is how much Jesus loved humankind. Because he does not want anybody to be lost. Because everybody is a candidate of his salvation and his mercy. Wow.